Net Wealth Investments Limited is licensed to provide general advice. Our podcasts are not tailored to any one financial situation and may contain views of our presenters which may not align with Net Wealth's. The guests' organisation and Net Wealth have an arrangement for their financial products to be available for investment through the Net Wealth platforms, and Net Wealth may receive fees from the guest. More information about Net Wealth can be found on our website, including our financial services guide and disclosure documents. Please seek professional advice before acting.
We are able to provide solutions to advisors and planners when it comes to building and establishing relationships with the next generation.
Those who can be reasonable cost but good on service that are going to be the winners in the future.
That's my basic mantra. Investing generally is not complicated.
They wanted to support us, but they also wanted to see us succeed before they really gave us that support.
Hi, and welcome to Between Meetings with Matt Heiner. In this podcast series, NetWealth's CEO and Managing Director chats to industry leaders and innovators with local and global expertise. They discuss the latest technologies, business models, and demographic changes, as well as leadership lessons and trends that are impacting financial services. We hope you enjoy their unique insights.
Hi and welcome to this episode of Between Meetings. I'm delighted to be joined by Kon Costas today. Welcome, Kon.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having us.
Anyone that's been in Kon's orbit would know that he doesn't mind a chat. So really looking forward to today's discussion. And as I tend to do, Kon, it'd be great just to understand, going back a little way now, what was it that actually dragged you into the industry? Because you've certainly been a big part of it now for some time, but what was it initially that made you think this was a career for you?
Well, I was actually in banking within the Westpac group back in the day. The introduction of Westpac Life came into play. So in 1989, in actual fact, I was one of the youngest advisors that joined the Westpac Life arena. And that was really the start of my career in financial services within Westpac.
So did you start in the bank or it was actually with?
I actually started within the bank and then transferred out of the banking arena into the financial services when it was first launched.
Right. So that was Westpac 1989. Did you stay there and that was sort of where the career started and evolved, or did you go somewhere else and then come back?
No, that's where I started, of course, at Westpac. It evolved. I went from advice. I was practicing advisor for a number of years, and then I was dragged out into management. And that was teaching other advisors the advice ropes within the financial services arena within Westpac. Then, of course, moved on to different roles as part of my career in managing financial planning businesses and ended up in the licensee land of all places, back within Lonsdale Financial Group and subsequently into DKN and back to BT. So there was a little bit of a separation from the Westpac institution, and then about 10 years or so later, we ended up back in there.
So obviously the industry's gone through a huge amount of change in that period, and you would have been really almost front row for a lot of what actually went on. What are your observations from those 20 years? There's obviously some fantastic times, certain things didn't go as well as they could have, but what are your memories?
The memories never change around supporting and advising Australians. I mean, at the end of the day, the profession that we've evolved to today is for the betterment of the Australian population. We're seeing clients get better advice, more of it, the opportunity to be a profession in its own right and helping more Australians through the financial services. It's just a shame that we don't have the sheer number of advisors that are required to support the Australian community and population as we see it today. But yes, we've seen the ups and the downs, and we've seen the changes and the impacts of the Royal Commission institutions. I've had the pleasure of being able to navigate my way through the institutions, through the licensees arena, being an RM on a number of licenses, and then now helping other RMs in running their own licenses. In my current role it's been quite a journey. So yes, we've seen many things. I think it is positive. It's probably a career I would never ever change in my lifetime. If anyone asked me what career they should be looking at, being a professional and a financial planning professional is certainly a really fruitful and enjoyable role to help people.
We'll come back at some stage just to how you see the industry evolving and how we get more people back into the industry, because we're clearly operating at 50% or less of what it was back in its heyday. And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. But thinking about the different places that you've worked, you've run and been involved in some really big institutions and really big establishment and well-known brands. And you've also had to navigate your way through a lot of change. You've had to communicate a lot of change. And I imagine change management was probably almost your 9-to-5 job for many, many years there. What were some of the really big lessons that you learned throughout that period, particularly as it relates to change?
I think the ability to be transparent and really have trusted relationships with your people and having open communication, however bad, good or indifferent it is, you've just got to be open and honest and be able to deliver the message as it has to be delivered. I think everyone respects hearing it firsthand. Everyone respects that communication piece, regardless of the messaging. But if you've got those trusted relationships, people will, of course, they're not going to feel great when you're delivering a bad message, but they respect that you've delivered it in a way that, open and honest. And that's how I operate. That's how I enjoy working with all of my people throughout my whole career.
Often that change, though, was actually about growth and sort of hyperscaling, if you like, whether it was in the licensee land or with BT Open and some pretty innovative business models for the time. How did you sort of change between sort of that change management, maybe when it wasn't such a good message, but also when you're trying to really take the team along with you and get them excited about that hypergrowth?
Yeah, I think the hypergrowth is probably my favourite part of the engaging with people and just driving activity, driving the excitement within why we're doing what we do and how we can actually all leverage and all benefit from growth is, again, it's that change management. It's having those discussions. It's knowing your people. It's being able to have a narrative that enables people to accept and understand why growth is so important for them, for their clients and for the organisation overall, and just taking them on the journey. I suppose the easiest way that I had it was always lead from the front. If you're leading from the front and showing the way of how they can actually follow and grow, it just makes it so much easier when you've got a leader there that can actually lead.
Reading through your notes prior to the podcast, there was a question, what was your favourite job? And you mentioned the one that you're doing now. Trying to talk a little bit about what you are doing now and why you're so excited about it?
My role is I'm part of a really great team in the principals community. My title is I'm the managing director of the principals community. And, I get to work with brilliant people all day, every day. And the easiest way I can put it is, my role is to cook up the big ideas and have a lot of fun doing it is the long and the short. But managing a team of high quality professionals, you don't have to manage them. We all work as a team. I have a very, very flat line of staff. Everyone's important to the business. They're really good to get involved with not only my team, but also the businesses that we work with who are, first class in the practices out there in the industry.
I'd be surprised if most people or most listeners hadn't heard of the principal community, but why don't you give us the 30-second pitch?
A 30-second pitch, it's probably 3 hours. The Principals community is a community of self-licensed businesses. Our aspiration is to be the community of choice for successful self-licensed businesses. And what underpins that aspiration are 4 key pillars. And the 4 key pillars are around community itself, working with peers of like-minded businesses, our superior governance solution that supports those AFSLs in running and maintaining their ongoing governance, the ongoing education through professional development. And we run a number of professional development initiatives around virtual professional development, masterclasses. We generate circa 70 to 80 hours of CPD through our professional development program. And the 4th pillar is around scale, where we've been able to negotiate with preferred providers who are service providers that can help self-licensed businesses around technology, PI, AI, research, just a few to name. The important part of our overall community is, we have 135 principal community members, and those 135 businesses are all self-licensed. They authorise about 1,380 advisors across the country, so we have a very, very strong footprint. We sort of call it around about the 12% mark of the professional advisors in the industry today.
And those practices really are from all over Australia and operating across all segments of advice, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have one of our community members that looks after the Northern Territory, but we do have a very, very balanced spread between Melbourne, Sydney is about a third, and the other third is Queensland, South Australia and WA.
And if you had to sort of point to not necessarily the size of the group, but what's a typical member? Is it someone that's looking to grow? Is it someone that's recently become self-licensed? How do you define what your target market is in that space?
Well, the first one is that they need to be self-licensed. We have a number of existing self-licensed people. All of them are self-licensed, of course. Anyone that's considering their license, we would actually work with them to ensure that self-licensing is the right environment for them to be operating. That's the first step. There's no point in putting anyone down the path of running their own license when they don't have the capability, the capacity, or the depth to be able to run that license. So that's the first step. Once we understand that this is the place that they want to go down the path of, then we'll help them attain that AFSL. And then the ongoing is helping them maintain their AFSL. But we have a number of existing self-licensed businesses who are joining us to be part of the community because they can see that the caliber of the community, the size of the community, it's not for everyone. I need to put that out there right now. We want to make sure that it's the right fit for our community to be able to have that like-mindedness of being able to share and learn from each other based on their environment. Size-wise, they're growth-aspirated businesses, multiple authorised representatives. I mean, we're talking 135 with 1,380 advisors. It sort of gives you an idea that, the 6, 7, 8 advisors per practice is sort of our sweet spot. But we will help businesses with their growth aspirations and get them there for sure.
We'll certainly come back to that growth piece in a moment as well, particularly around the M&A piece. But ever since I can remember, there's been cycles of people rushing to be self-licensed and then consolidating back into large national licensees and then deconsolidating. First question is, where are we in that cycle? But more importantly, what are the key drivers these days of people looking to go self-licensed?
Firstly, in the cycle that we're looking at, we've seen many of the larger licensees change the way that they operate. We've had many businesses attain their own AFSLs. There are still a number that are considering their options around licensing. The first thing is that people constantly talk about licensing and licensees. I think what the self-license community does is it actually helps people and businesses lift their profile, okay? I've seen so many self-licensed businesses attain their own license, and you can see even the principals of the business and all of the staff from the admin support all the way through the ranks of the actual practice. They've actually lifted their brows around, we are now responsible for our license, and they protect it with dear life, yeah? They want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. That in itself shows taking on the responsibility of an AFSL enables those businesses to then work with the regulator. And you can even see it makes ASIC, I think, more comfortable. As long as they've got the resources and the infrastructure around the license, it makes it much easier to manage and having principals responsible for the license versus licensees responsible for lots of advisors across the country and then having to do the monitoring and supervision. So, there's a bit of a question around what's the right pathway for licensing for the future. Rather than individual advisors being licensed directly with ASIC, here's a stepping stone that enables, these self-licensed businesses to take responsibility and manage their advisors within the business and the actual businesses overall.
So for a long time there was a number of reasons that we used to have sort of played back to us around why people were going self-licensed. For a while there, it was around the APL, wanting more freedom to invest into products that they couldn't access, etc. There was always a cost consideration. Some felt it was more expensive. Some felt it was cheaper, depending maybe on the resources they put around it. Identity was certainly and control over their destiny. What are the main drivers these days?
Still capability, control, flexibility and choice. If anyone's looking at getting their own license as a cost benefit and a cost saving, don't do it. I think it's more about having the ability to run, operate and control your destiny, and choice, flexibility, not being told you must do, is probably the key reason. You're not going to get your own license to save money. Okay. There may be a couple of dollars that you'll save here and there, but at the end of the day, don't do it for that reason. Do it because you have capacity, capability, You have, some flexibilities that you're looking for to be able to provide your clients a better outcome in the advice that you're providing.
And has that been more challenged given just the amount of reg change that has actually been pushed through the system over the last few years? Have self-licensed firms found it harder, easier, or it's been about the same?
I think it's been about the same. Again, I come back to having the right resources around you as a business. If you've got the right resources, and I can only talk for the principals community and what we do, and our business model has been built by our community really because of what their requirements are, and having our dedicated governance team working with the AFSLs and the RMs gives them confidence and comfort around the regs and legs and changes, what's coming up, what's required. You've got that helping hand working with your business to ensure that you don't miss anything when it comes to running and governing your license, because you're still a busy practitioner in the main. Principals are still practitioners looking after clients, or they're running their business. So having that third party with that overlooking their business and making sure that they're all in order, that actually makes it quite easy. So has it changed? No, I don't think so. It's having the right support around you.
And as a result of that, have you found that you've played an advocacy role at all for your members where you're dealing directly with the government or the FSC to try and support the members in what they need to be done?
I always say that we're not a lobby group.
But
we will actually step up, and we do get involved. And CSLR is a good example of that, where we've got involved with the minister. Steve Jones is no longer there, now being replaced. We've got involved with the Senate. We've got involved with Treasury. We've had Treasury reach back out, and we had a meeting with Treasury at the end of last year about the challenges with CSLR. We'd probably take a different approach. Our approach is, what's the situation? We get the views and the guidance from our community, and then we'll take a legal approach around it rather than beating our chest and saying it's not fair. I think having a robust discussion with the regulator, the government, provides us and them good reasoning why it's fact-based, and good reasoning why they should actually listen to, what we're raising as an issue and as a challenge. But again, it's not really our place and our space. That's why we've got to make sure that, myself, my governance team and our legal teams are there to support the community with, what the go forward is, especially in relation to CSLR. And we're getting back onto the new government now and our new minister just to make sure that he's across the detail that we've raised previously.
And given that you do represent such a great group of practices and principles, what are some of the things that they were perhaps disappointed about that didn't get delivered in tranche 1 or 2, or some of the other regs that are still being discussed?
So the tranche 2, that's just consultations closed as at mid-May, it's probably not even worth discussing, to be brutally honest. I mean, the government will work through their process. They'll have a look at the submissions. I don't think that the impact and the changes of tranche 2 are going to be beneficial to really anyone. If anything, there'll probably be a cost consequence to the practices if it goes through in its current form. And that is businesses needing to change their systems and processes to adhere to what's been raised. So, yeah, I'd probably wait for what the government's got to say, and the new government may have a different opinion.
Imagine a world where wealth technology is simplified. NetWealth is continually investing in new tools and platform features to optimize your staff productivity and to give you and your clients the best user experience. With our managed accounts functionality, bring new efficiency and scale to your investment operations. A world of technology awaits. Discover it at netwealth.com.au/woo.
Are there things that the community would love to see that they're all very vocal about?
Yeah, they would be far and wide. But again, I don't think it's worth even sitting here trying to contemplate what they would like to see.
Is no regulation, but...
Well, it's not about no regulation. I think it's, they have, our community are passionate about helping, more Australians with more advice, and the affordability piece is very important to be taken into consideration. And I mean, there's businesses out there that are really open to helping as many people as they can. They just can't afford to do that and run a sustainable business. So, yeah, it's not about no regulation, but I think it's about having and seeing the profession as a profession and being supportive of it and finding ways that we can actually provide more advice to consumers.
Moving on to the practice side of things, you've obviously got great visibility across the businesses that you work with, and I know you collect a lot of data from them every year. Is there any data points that you're able to share that you think might be interesting to the listeners? And then maybe we'll sort of roll that forward into growth and M&A.
We do collect some significant data, and we call it our business insights. The difference with our business insights, as a benchmark call it, is it comes from the principles of the business, and it's data that is about each of the individual businesses. And then we do a comparison across the actual community. So by having like-mindedness, we're able to sit down with our individual members and provide a comparison as to, what are the strengths and weaknesses and data points that they would like to make adjustments to. And, the one piece of data that continues to stand out is when we talk about the average number of clients that advisors are actually seeing.
And when you talk clients, you're talking individuals or family groups?
I'm talking about family groups. Yep. And typically it's 105. It's been like that
for as long as I can remember.
100 and 105. It's been like that probably for the last 5-6 years. And it might move 1 to practicing principles are normally seeing between 150 and 170 clients. But across the advisor footprint, the average is 105. And the message from my perspective is, how do we make it more efficient for our advisors to be able to see 120, 130, 150 clients each? I mean, that automatically increases the amount of people that we can actually help. It's just that efficiency piece. We're seeing businesses spend a lot of money on technology to bring efficiencies, but I'm not sure if that's transforming into more clients. We have, over the last few years, seen the average balance or average client value going from about $500,000 up to about 750. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a greater wealth of client. We'd just love to be able to help businesses see more clients, because organically, there's a lot of clients that need help. Yeah, I know you're going to touch on M&A, so I'm happy to have that chat.
One of the paths. Profitability is always a metric that I find fascinating, and we get different numbers from different people on the show. What are you seeing in your practices that you're working with?
Average is 29.5 as an EBIT across our community.
And what do you think it can reach to?
30. Look, realistically, with efficiencies, it's not about, if a business is generating that 30 to 35%, I mean, it's a solid return. Now, that can change very easily. You employ new staff, it impacts your EBIT.
Put on new clients.
You get rid of someone, you can put on new clients. It impacts positively. First 1-2 years of a new client doesn't necessarily mean your EBIT's gone through the roof. So, there's a number of mechanics that can move that dial. But a business that's humming along, if they're achieving a 35% EBIT, that's a reasonable EBIT return. We're seeing some businesses that are 40, 45. I mean, congratulations. There's also businesses that are 20 and 25.
When you think about some of those firms on no-names basis, what are some of the principles or practices doing really well that you look at that and go, that is really clever, or aren't they just killing it in this area?
Again, it's about resourcing, and it's about the caliber or quality of client that they're chasing. That will determine their performance and their return.
Yeah.
If they're focused and want to keep it really, really lean and focus on a specific type of client, then you can certainly make sure that your EBIT multiples are high. Those that are growth focused, employing staff, to deal with the volume of client activity, you're going to see that EBIT, bounce from that 25 to 35% year on year. So there's not one answer to that question.
Fair enough. Now, I can see you itching to talk about your favourite topic, M&A. Clearly, a lot of it happening in the industry at the moment. We're seeing big firms get huge, and we're seeing firms coming from offshore to assist with growth capital. I know Principals Communities just done something really interesting with Merchant Group. Tell us what's happening out there.
M&A is a really, really interesting one. And I go around the country, and one of my first questions is around who's interested to buy a business, and the hands shoot up. And then you ask the second question, who's interested in selling? And you see no hands go up. There's no market. If there's no buyers and there's no sellers, there's no market. So what we're starting to see is businesses, doing some interesting things around M&A, around like-minded businesses coming together to share the benefits of scale. Sure, that works. We've got other businesses that are focused on growing their advisory capabilities and dealing with the organic opportunities that are there. So, there's a bit of a question around when you're buying something or merging something, there's a cost number that comes into play there. When you're acquiring or you're attracting your organic clients, there's probably a lesser investment that goes into doing that. The other thing that M&A brings into the table, whenever you see two businesses come together, there's at least a 2 to 3 year time lag around merging, integrating, transitioning, that people don't take that into consideration. It's great when you find an opportunity that you want to merge with. It's then the timing that it takes to actually merge the businesses and gain the scale efficiency. When you're bringing two busy businesses together, that's what happens. Where organic, you can automatically keep going and looking after clients. So I think the best model today is a combination, and making sure you've got capacity and capability to deal with your organic growth and make sure that your M&A is done with a lot of care and due diligence, not because it's a great idea and everyone else is doing it, because they don't always work out. That's my tip.
That was going to be my next question. There's a lot of firms that we work with that are having lots of cups of coffee with other firms. What are the most important things to a successful merger, acquisition that you've seen, and what are some of the real pitfalls?
The successful ones take it as a full-on project. It's really understanding each other's businesses. It's really understanding the culture. That's probably the most important element when any businesses are coming together, is to have the right culture, to be able to see and understand that you're entering into this arrangement knowing that you can actually work with these people, unless they're moving off. There's different types of M&A. If there's succession issues or challenges, that's different. But if you're merging with two quality, like-minded businesses, you've got to make sure your culture, your standards and your behaviours, they're not going to be exactly the same, but understand that they'd be similar, that you can actually work together. And then making sure that your change management and your staff also understand the why. Why are you coming together? For what purpose? What benefit? What are the career opportunities for them along the journey? Because at the end of the day, we're in a people's business and your assets go home every day. So make sure that they're on the journey with you to ensure that, they understand the narrative around that. And then get into the nuts and bolts. And the nuts and bolts is do a proper due diligence on who you're partnering with. Because on the surface, everyone's fantastic. They'll tell you, of course, their business is great. But when you look under the bonnet, you want to make sure that the engine's there. You want to make sure that all the systems and processes that you've spoken about pretty much are in line. And the best way you can do that is have a time frame, have a process, have a dedicated person that's going to support you with due diligence, and make sure that they're checking in with you, both parties, along the way, and raising any issues, any challenges that then the principals can actually navigate their way through and tick them off. It makes it so much easier when you get to the end of the game and on a term sheet, when you can tick all the boxes and say, yep, it's a green light, let's move forward, rather than you're a good bloke, I'm a good bloke, let's get together.
I know you've been involved in a lot of these conversations, and no doubt you've got checklists galore for your due diligence. Where you have found practices and you thought on the outset, these two are going to be a match made in heaven, but then things haven't worked out, is it simple things like they end up disagreeing on investment philosophy? Is it where they actually want to be in 5 years? Software? What are the things that typically you see actually forcing deals to fall apart?
It's that cultural alignment, Matt. Seriously.
Which can be difficult to define.
It's difficult to define, but what you need to do is ensure that they understand each other's cultures and how they do it, how they give advice, what they're about, how do they deal with their clients, how do they take them on the journey, what are the standards and the behaviors, the systems and the processes within the business. It's very, very difficult to bring chalk and cheese together, yeah? I mean, it's great on the outset. The best recommendation that I can have for anyone is get to the crux of everything that you're looking for in your business and make sure that the partnering business has the same sort of philosophy. And if they don't have the same philosophy, then you could be pushing it up a hill, and you may want to go for a little bit of a walk up that hill, and you may find out sooner rather than later that you're not going to be able to work together for a number of reasons. Then cut it. Don't waste your time. And there's a lot of people out there looking and having the coffee chats. The only ones that are doing well out of that are the baristas, which is great. Really be clear and defined around what sort of business you're looking to partner with, what it is, what are the synergies, what are the benefits, are there synergies and benefits that you can leverage off each other? That will help the process. Doesn't always guarantee that it's the right marriage, yeah?
Maybe a Dorothy Dix here, but how important is it to have someone like you sitting in the middle of the conversations?
Very important.
I thought you might say that. you are a broker, just to make sure.
I say that tongue in cheek. Having a third party lens on the business is one thing. Having that third party that's actually going to look under the bonnet and do some of the investigative work no principal wants to really do on another principal's business, but having that expertise where, you've got a team that can actually go in and have a look at the governance process. Once you start looking at governance, how files are operating, APLs, and there's a whole process around what to look for, and to be able to share the findings with both parties openly, that will determine what's the recipe go forward. So, yeah, is it us? Is it someone else? Find a specialist that is going to be able to do that due diligence work for you and make sure that through the process, and step out and map out a timeline and a process where people are putting things in the data room that can be assessed and then compared to, and have that regular check-in with both parties.
Last question on M&A, because a couple of other things I want to ask you before we go. The metrics that you're seeing used predominantly now, is it multiples of revenue, EBITDA? Depends on the size of the firm.
There's no set model. The multiples of revenue are still active. I thought they were gone, but they're still active.
At similar levels to what they were 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think businesses are getting smarter around how to define the different revenue streams within a business, and then they'll apply a multiple to those revenue streams.
And client segments, presumably.
Client segments, revenue streams, product, etc., and different levels of advice. And then, of course, there's the EBIT multiples, and they range, the EBIT multiples range from, they haven't changed much, anywhere from 6 to 8, depending on the business. That's really what's out there in the market. We're seeing certainly some capital coming to Australia, both onshore, offshore. The same language is being used there. My message to everyone is just to err to caution. We're your partner. Make sure you understand the terms. I've been told many, many, many times from many, many different analysts that say the devil's in the detail. Make sure you cross the detail.
Absolutely. Kon, we are running out of time. I promised that we'd come back to one of the earlier questions around particularly focusing on the future of the industry. And the first part of that is, where does the next generation come from? I know you're running a number of PY programs within the principals community, but how do we not only look to double the number of clients that an advisor can service, but double the number of advisors that can serve as clients?
Yeah, for sure. Good question. I'll start with, it's up to all of us. It's not just the practices. It's not just the business owners. It's us as a profession. It's dealer groups, licensees. It's platform providers. It's you and your team, Matt. It's fund managers. It's insurance providers. All of us need to be hands-on to grow this profession. We're so pleased to see, and I've been banging on this for a long time in saying everybody in our community needs to have a PY. And then they'll explain that there's a cost to that, but that's okay. And we have seen this uptick in the number of PYs within businesses. And I encourage everyone, if you can get a professional year advisor into your business and coach them, drive them, train them into becoming an advisor, they'll still remain in some role within the profession. We're doing a fair bit of work with the universities. We're trying our hardest and darnest to be advocates and promoters of what financial planning is all about. It's not very well promoted out there, and I know that there's a lot of financial planners that are doing exceptionally well. They live in lovely homes and drive lovely cars and have a beautiful life and lifetime career.
And help other people have those things as well.
Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine that? Just having a great career, helping people achieve their goals and objectives.
Why is it not hitting the mark? Because I constantly talk to people that I know about the supply and demand dynamics. There's not very many industries that even remotely are as attractive, and you get the added benefits of helping other people.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had a very good reputation.
Is it getting better in the universities?
I think so. I'm hearing that we're starting to see a bit of and I'll take even one little digit uplift, where we're seeing more people subscribing to financial services and financial planning courses. It was going backwards last year, so I'm pleased to see that it's picked up again. But I think we've just got to continue to promote it, because we're only seeing a small percentage of the Australian population get advice in the first place. So could you imagine going to a parent of a child and talking about financial planning as a career, and they've never even met a financial planner? Their perception of us as a profession wouldn't be that great. So when, Johnny goes home to mum and dad and says, I'd like to be a financial planner, there's maybe some questions that they'll ask their child. So we've got a job to do to keep promoting it, sharing. It's not just financial advisors. I mean, Matt, how many staff do you employ in Net Wealth? And that's not financial advisors, but you're an enabler. You're from product, from paraplanning, from customer service to BDMs to research houses. The list goes on for careers in financial services. So, yeah, I think we're just got to all bound together and keep promoting it.
Kon, before we go, what excites you most about the next 5 years?
I think it's the most exciting. Next 5 years are the most exciting for all of us, really. There's an abundance of opportunity. We've spoken about organic. It's, the message that I use for all of our community members is pin your ears back. It's exciting times. Keep doing what you're doing. Do the right thing. I'm hoping that we'll see some technology enhancements that will bring some even more robustness around advice and provide us. Yeah, well, you're working on it. Hurry up, Matt. We're trying to make sure that we can see more clients, and if we can do that, yeah, the next 5 years is pretty exciting. As expected, a good wide-ranging chat today, so thanks for your time, Kon. For those that want to find out a bit more about what you're doing in the Principles community, where's the best place to go? You can jump on our website, principlescommunity.com.au. You can make contact with any one of my team. There's a team of 11 of us across the country, so certainly feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to have a chat. Fantastic. Thanks, Kon. All the very best. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Between Meetings. For more episodes and to subscribe to our series, visit the NetWealth website, iTunes, Spotify, or your favourite listening service. And if you want to contact me or engage or discuss any of the topics raised, please find me on LinkedIn or Twitter or send me a private message. We hope you can tune into the next episode.